So I've done some polished concrete as a builder, but what I've not done is seeded the concrete like we did to achieve this final result that you see here. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the process, the do's and the don'ts, and what we did to get to that point. We started off by bringing in 3 tons of the Polynesian green rock to our job site. We then got a bunch of 5-gallon planters from a landscape company down the road that just had a bunch of extra ones, and they gave them to us. And we used those to wash the rock in so that the water could evacuate out of those holes at the bottom. We placed those buckets all around, about 40, 50 buckets with a select amount of rock in each one. The next step was to test the concrete by throwing in a little bit of rock, casting it and seeing how deep it sunk. And if it only sunk about halfway, then you know that it is ready. And so we started in this first little section, cast that rock, and then the guys used the wooden floats to press that rock into place. So just a note on the type of concrete that we decided to go with. We went with a 4,000 PSI concrete with a 5-inch slump. And the reason for that 5-inch slump is the heat, the hot day. We needed something that wasn't going to set up too quick and allow us the time to work the rock down into place. So another really important part of this job is monitoring the rock. We had a limited amount of rock. Even though there was a lot of rock, we had a certain amount and we had to monitor the usage of it to make sure we weren't overusing it. You see me back there picking up rock. Every rock mattered. We had to make sure that we had enough at the end to get all the spots. We ended up with about a half bucket to spare at the end of it all. Overall, the pour went well, although it was a very hot day, about 96 degrees. However, as a builder, there are some things that I would ask my finishing crew to do next time. And 2 of those things are using power equipment to do the finishing and the screeding. I would use a power screed and a power finisher with finishing blades. Now, I'm not a concrete guy, I'm a builder. But my thought behind the power finishers and the power screed is prevention of variations in the concrete, dips, or areas that might be lower than other areas. I think that might have helped in a few areas to prevent that. However, I do credit the crew for putting in some good hard work in doing their best to cast all that rock and then to work everything by hand and press that rock down into place using those wood floats and in some cases using metal trowels. It was not an easy task, and all the guys were working really hard in the heat of the day to make this all happen. Temperature rose to about 96 degrees by the middle of the day. So another really important thing that you may have caught in the last scene are those large walking planks. That was critical. And thanks to some of the guys who knew a guy that had those planks, we rented those planks all the way from Los Angeles and brought them down, and we used those to walk across and cast the rock, especially over large spans where we did not have good access.
Uno más flaco para que es el mismo de la...
The way this machine works is all the dust gets sucked up and trapped into that vacuum over there. The concrete polishing crew started with an electric machine, and they were dry grinding the floor. They eventually went back with their gas-powered machine and started to wet grind, and it was much more effective and efficient. So in between the grinding, the guys had to grout the floor with epoxy. And the reason why they did that was filling of the gaps and some of the cracks. Using a proper machine that provides that dust-free grinding, as you see here, is absolutely critical in doing this type of grinding work. This fine dust will get everywhere if you do not have a good machine. So during the process of grinding, especially along those expansion joints, some of the rock blew out. And so my next phase was repairing those areas by finding matching rock, epoxying that rock in place, and then grinding that down, and then polishing the surface of those new rocks. So we ground down the floor, and we're starting to see the color of that rock. Now here where I polished, you can see it really darkens up. Is to take these rocks and place them where they match.
Yes, it has a little bit of
Brown, green. Yeah, green. Yeah, greenish brown. I think that looks pretty.
After a ton of samples and detailing and back and forth, we decided along with the client to go with a metal inlay. That metal inlay was to go in those pre-cut expansion joints. So we had to widen those expansion joints in order to place that metal inlay inside those expansion joints. We epoxied them in there. We then polished the metal down and then filled the sides with the grout. We used an aluminum alloy from Tesco products that the client found. We then added more layers of epoxy to fill more cracks, do more grouting, and continue the process of grinding down to the next levels. The grout we used around the aluminum alloy and in some areas was just a regular tile grout made by Kegel. The final stages of the polishing, touching up a few areas and changing out the blades right now and getting down to the final parts. Believe it or not, this floor is only polished to a 200 grit. And the reason for that is, one, this concrete was very hard. Two, we wanted that final coat of polyurethane to adhere, and the clients wanted that. The theory behind that is if we went too fine with the finished polish, we went to like a 400 or 800 grit, then the polyurethane would not adhere, and the clients wanted that polyurethane as a final coat to protect that finished floor and protect from spilled drinks when entertaining guests. I'm happy with the way it all turned out. Looks like a mosaic, and the way that that floor is going to look with the wing and with all the finishes of the house is going to look amazing when it's done.